is up? It's Cannoli Crusader with Whispers from the Warp. I have two special guests, Paradox Nerd from Sithcast and Lisan Al Gaib in the flesh, Child of the Atom, to talk about Warhammer today, to introduce another friend to my nerddom from other nerddoms. So say hi, everyone. Say hi.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going, guys? Good?
Very good, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me back on again.
No problem. PJ, I do appreciate the haircut. I've never seen you without a hat, except I think the other night on a stream. I said, I got to mention that next time I see him. So
I decided to take off the hat and the underwear today. So
fantastic. That's just the way I like it.
So PJ was on my first episode. Tim, you watched the first episode.
I did.
And what did we learn? What was your favorite aspects of 40K so far?
Well, you kept on saying how violent it was, and
and you're a violent person.
Yeah, well, I mean, I am drawn to the darker things. For the record, I didn't know anything, and I still would say I don't know anything. Like, it took me a minute to decipher what 40K even meant. Until you explained, like, this is 40,000 years into the timeline. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, that part was really intriguing to me. I do want to dig a little bit deeper to that, because I feel like you only scratch the surface of how brutal it could be, and I am interested in that portion of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell me again what army you use.
So I have several. I've been playing since 3rd edition, so I was 15 when I started playing Warhammer. I threw away I sold a bunch of armies and bought new ones, got out of the hobby, got back into it. But currently, I have a Space Marine army that's their faction is the Imperial Fists.
Yeah, I have the Imperial Fist, and they're mutants.
So Space Marines are superhuman. They're humans. They're like genetically enhanced humans, right? Think of a stormtrooper, but like useful, right? If you need
which faction was the mutants?
There's mutants like there's lots of different types of mutants. There's like there's gene stealers. There's actual just mutants that like. But not in a nice way, not like X-Men mutants.
There you go. I knew you'd eventually get there. You know,
they're not like
they're not busting my chops about mutants. And as soon as I heard you say the word mutants, I'm like, oh, this guy, he likes mutants. He just doesn't want to admit it. All right.
but they're not pretty. None of them look like Rogue. So when there's a mutant in 40K, it's more like kind of I don't know what's the best way to do it. Like in the movie 300, what's the Hunchback guy?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Something along those lines, more like a mutant 40K.
Okay, somebody who's physically deformed almost.
Deformed, might have some psychic powers, stuff like that. So there's a little bit of that. So I have a Space Marine army. I have an Orc army. I have a Necron army, which is like Terminators, metal Terminator guys. And there's a painting competition that's every October. And I'm doing, you have to create like a diorama. So I'm doing a Tyranid display board, which are like space bugs, think Starship Troopers. Versus Space Marines. So I came in gold last year with my Imperial Fists. So I'm trying to do that again.
Nice.
Now, when you're creating something like that, are you going off of lore or partial lore and then partial creativity, like you're just doing whatever you want
so with certain armies, so I have different feelings about different armies. So like when I'm doing my Imperial Fists, there is a strict iconography Space Marines use for different things. Like there's different within a Space Marine Legion or chapter, right? There's different companies. So they follow the codex. So I I strictly follow what the lore states, like their trim color should be based on what company they're in. Or if they're one of a sergeant that they have a red helmet. If he's a veteran sergeant, it's a red helmet with a white stripe down the middle, stuff like that. So that I follow. But when I do things like Tyranids, like the bugs, I kind of homebrew my own color scheme with them because I feel like there's tons
They're
of
not
bugs.
as important.
Yeah, not as important. Like there are specific hive fleets in the galaxy that are like named mostly by named by the humans, but I just created my own color scheme, or I'm gonna create my own color scheme. So, but as far as painting, good segue though, because the big annual painting competition just finished in Chicago. They have one in Chicago every year, and then I think the other one is in the UK, but it's called the Golden Demon. So it is the top painters in the world painting these miniatures, and I have the website. I will present.
Have you gone to like any of these like painting competitions or try to participate in them?
So I just started last year on the local, like they have stores, the Games Workshop stores where you can participate in. It's called Armies on Parade.
Yeah, but
I haven't tried like
the bigger circle,
So I'm a good painter. I'm probably above average. So if I would scale it 1 to 10, I'd probably be like a 7, which is really really good. Like in a crowd here locally, I'm probably the best painter. But when you're competing against the planet, I'd probably not. Like they're just really good. I mean, there goes a lot of. At that point, you're talking about color theory, which I'm learning how to use in my painting. You know, secondary reflections, and we'll talk about that right now. Actually, I will.
Color theory, like wow, like that's
Yeah.
like pretty intense, like
super intense stuff. So you can see my stuff, and if you saw one of my models, you'd be like, "Dom, that's like amazing." But then when you compare it to someone who's a Golden Demon winner, it's like, okay, I get it. All right, Dom, you're good.
So like if they're painting something with like a yellow blade, you're probably putting white down then yellow, and they're probably putting taupe down because they know the color on top is going to give them a different color yellow than anybody else can produce.
Yeah, so there's a lot to color theory is like we could talk about that for days, right? But like one of the basic concepts is there's two basic concepts. There's warm colors and cold colors, right? Cold colors are the obvious. It goes from green all the way to like purple to magenta. And some colors you can still have a warm green or a cool green or a warm blue, technically, if you really get deep into it. But cold colors naturally recess on a painting, and warm colors are naturally pop forward in art. And then you can break that down fuller. Like actually, now that I have one in front of me, so I practice this all the time. I have a color wheel, right? So when I'm painting, this color wheel explains how the colors will interact with each other, right? So we're kind of going down the rabbit hole of painting, but you want to use complementary colors as much as you can. And those are colors that are opposite the color wheel. So they have the highest value of contrast when you're painting. If you believe it or not, superheroes do that a lot. So they're always using complementary colors because they pop the most. So for example, if you're looking at Superman, right? Superman, most of his costume is blue. So if you look on the color wheel, blue and yellow is opposite side of the color wheel. So blue's on top, yellow. The reason why the comic book artist did that is because you have the highest contrast. So blue and yellow, like Wolverine, right, looks better to the eye naturally because on the opposite side, right? Yep. So it's a lot of tricks like that, and then there's different types of there's analogous color schemes. There's triads. It's like you can. We're going down that rabbit hole. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the champions who won the competition, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let me just share my screen and let me know that you guys see it because there we go. All right, so you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, yep, this is the website from Games Workshop. So these are the Golden Demon winners. So one day I would like to at least be commended. So there's gold, silver, and bronze, and then there's the commendation pins for people who basically the judges say, hey, you know what, you didn't make finals, but we commend you for your work. I would like, my goal in life is just to get that pin, right? Which would be amazing because these painters are fabulous. So there's different categories and we'll go through them. So this one looks like a single miniature gold, and it's this is an Eldar. So he's a space elf on what looks like a dinosaur. So a lot of these pieces are kit. We call them kit bashed. This isn't something that you would buy from Games Workshop. He customized this. So he got the Eldar piece, and then he got this dragon probably from something in a fantasy line, and he mishmashed it together and created something new, which is really cool. That is something I'm not very good at. Usually when I buy a piece, I kind of just paint it as it is. I'm not good at customizing. Sometimes I'll I'll throw in a little extra something here or there, but this is highly customized. And then, I mean, just looking at this, he used an analogous color scheme, so he's living on one side of the color wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got greens, blues, yellow, and little gray. Not a lot of complementary colors there, but I mean, just to give you an idea of the size of the model, I mean, this is kind of zoomed in, but let me take something out that I did recently.
Yeah, they're like 3 inches or less, right?
Yeah, so like here's let me just grab somebody. Here's like the captain in my Imperial fists. Like this, how big they are.
Can you zoom in on? Oh, I mean, like, can you know how to zoom in on?
Yeah, click on yourself and you make yourself.
Yeah. Just click on yourself.
Did I do it? Or no?
Maybe you have to stop sharing.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that's a
a Space Marine, right?
That's a Space Marine, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can
so
see
that's
the colors that you're talking about, like in terms of contrast.
Yeah, so there's yellows, there's warms, and then sometimes you don't, you want to be creative on how you do it, like the glowing laser gun on top. So that's the size we're talking about. A vehicle is, this is a dreadnought.
So that's a person gets inside and drives it.
Yeah. So like this is what I won gold for because I free-handed the fist on his on the front of it. So that's not a sticker. That's just me.
But yeah, how long does it? I'm sorry.
What's that?
I was gonna say, how long does it take to like be in these competitions to paint these things? And is it like blank? Is it blank? Like when you get your?
Oh yeah. So like I've got. So if you look behind me, there's my painting station. So you see all my paints and stuff. That's all my painting stuff. But like when you buy Warhammer models, they come on sprues like this.
Oh, like runner sheets.
Yeah. So you're cutting them out, cleaning them, gluing them together, and then priming them and painting them. So it's a full model kit. Yeah, it's a lot of.
And none of them come pre-painted.
No.
Interesting.
So what's cool about the hobby isn't just that. So there's the lore, there's like the background, which is already amazing. It's a board game, and it's an artistic hobby because you're painting your own army.
Yeah, so that's why I like the statue collecting because it's like multiple things in one.
Exactly. That's why, like I always say, and I've had a few people when I was on Thor's podcast. He's like, what's your favorite hobby? And I was like, well, honestly, if I had to choose, I would easily give up statue collecting for this because this is more. I would never sell my army anymore. I've put my soul into it. People have asked me to sell or do commission painting for them, and like this dreadnought probably took me, 100 hours.
Nuts, bro.
Okay. Because I'm like thinking like these competitions you say, right? Like I'm thinking like you're at the shop painting these things, but no, you're doing it separately.
No, yeah, you have a certain, like you have a year to do it.
Gotcha.
Technically, you have as long as you want.
Yeah, you can
You
can
can
take
paint it for
5 years.
3 years and then enter.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Yeah.
And there's different categories. It's not just single miniature. Let's go back to.
Have you ever gone to Jersey Fest?
No, it's Jersey Fest.
Jersey Fest is like a reoccurring hobby show that they have like a painting competition, and miniatures is one of the things that they do.
I didn't know
I
that.
don't know. I can't recall if anybody's done Warhammer stuff because at the time I wouldn't have even recognized it as that. But
Yeah.
I would imagine you could probably put your Warhammer stuff in for a painting award.
I would try.
Yeah.
I liked, you know, it's.
Got to get you to New Jersey though, man.
I know
I
Jersey.
know.
You guys are Jersey guys. I don't know. You guys are eventually going to make it out to the Nutmeg State.
That's
come
right.
out and can hang out
Yeah.
eventually. So we got. Let's see. Silver was this neck. This is a Necron. So this is like a Terminator in space kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
Or
I
like-
kind of like the way that guy looks.
I actually like this one better than the one that won gold, but I'm not the judge. So there's a lot of blending here, like on his neon green blades, his staff,
Yeah.
and
Dude, these are
everything.
pretty freaking cool, man.
Yeah, this type of painting. I mean, this probably took forever because if you look at every panel on his armor, if you look at
You can see a shade.
it's a gradient.
Yeah.
You know, and I have an airbrush, but an airbrush cannot be this precise. This was all done by hand. So gradient forever, you know, just lots of glazing, lots of blending. So I would have given this guy gold, but you know, I'm not the judge.
Very cool. Well, you
and-
know, the other diorama had the resin waterfall with like the big background.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very impressive looking. And is that a picture in the back?
Yeah, so I don't know if he painted it or printed it out. He might have painted it.
That could be a portion of why it worked so well.
Yeah.
And it looks like you see the branches up on top. It looks like those were added on top of the painting.
Yeah. That is
Yeah,
cool.
I guess that's kind of cool. But I do see your point as far as technical skill. The other one has a couple more tricks in the painting.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. And this is a Space Marine different chapter. This is a Black Templar.
That's
Also really nice. Very grim dark. So that's his servant polishing his blade.
I was wondering what that thing was.
Yeah, he's an adept. So we were just talking before we went live. We were talking about Dune. So a little bit about Warhammer 40K. Heavily pulls from Dune. I mean, there's about 80% overlap on the background in Dune and Warhammer.
Which came first, Dune or
Dune.
Dune,
Dune
right?
came first. Yeah, Dune is basically. So Warhammer 40K is like a mishmash of Tolkien, Dune, and World War One. That's the best way to in space. So take all those things and just like even if you look at, I don't know if there's a tank in this, but all the aesthetics, like the heavy tanks and stuff, aren't even World War II. They look very like World War One-esque. I think somebody actually submitted a tank into the large models. So this is
cool.
This is really cool. This is a kill team, a unit of Black Templars again. So it's very much into Black Templars. But that banner, that's free-handed. That's not a sticker. So that guy painted that. And I definitely appreciate so one of the hardest colors to paint is black. And that's probably why this guy won gold. I'm assuming, he won gold in kill team. So black is notoriously, everyone's like, oh, you just slap black on. Yeah, if you do that, it's not interesting.
It kills it.
It crushes it. So when you're doing black in a paint job, you actually have to decide on another color.
Yeah.
So when I do black on my Imperial Fist, they'll have black trim. It's a gradient from pure black to green to like an ivory to make it look like it's some sort of reflective surface. So you could do any color. I mean, I like green. Sometimes I do blue depending on what I'm painting, but I lean towards like a dark green. just because I'm used to working with it. But this guy, he used like, it looks like a bone or like a gray beige or maybe like ash color, because it just makes it more interesting. So
Yeah,
that's
this is
probably
pretty.
yeah.
Damn. Like I'm thinking, like you said, like it took you about a year to paint that one Space Marine. How long do you think this takes?
Oh man,
Oh my
he
gosh! Like,
probably spent the whole year doing this. Just
I
that
mean, like every single day, probably, right? Like for 4 or
yeah,
5 hours, you think?
couple hours a day for sure. Because I would say, because this is like a
Damn.
300-hour paint job.
Because that flag is off the hook, man. That's the first thing I noticed.
That's actually like, that's one of those things, to me, it's beautiful. It's the easiest thing on the paint job.
Oh,
Everything else,
really?
yeah. Because that's like when you're doing freehand, like that, like there's some more complex stuff, but if you could just break it down into like geometric shapes, that's a lot of geometric shapes and blending. So I could do that. It would take a long time. But the hardest part for me looking at this paint job is two things: is the black armor, which is very convincing, and also the cloth. So if you look at their tabards, like the cloth they have on, it is convincingly looks like a like a like a silk parchment type thing, and it doesn't. So he had to do that by hand and make it not look like a hot mess.
Yeah.
Which, when you look at the scale again, just to remind you, I mean, we're talking about something like this.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
So
That's crazy to paint, man. Something that small and that detailed. Jeez.
yeah,
Very
that's
cool. That guy on the right in that picture, that's got
this
the
one.
sword.
Yeah,
That guy, brutal looking.
yeah. I like his little shield on his shoulder
Mhm.
with the little checker patterns. I like to put checker patterns on my Space Marines too. It's kind of a throwback to the old school Warhammer. Is the checker patterns. So I like that a lot.
Very cool. Kudos to that guy. That was nice.
Yeah, here's a silver and bronze.
What are those guys on the left? Those are goblins?
Yeah, so those are orcs.
Oh,
Orcs
so
and
there's no
goblins.
goblins. There's only
Yeah.
orcs.
No, there are goblins. They're called Gretchen. Goblins are Gretchen now.
Okay.
But yeah, they're standing on a dread. So they're standing on the dreadnought like that I have painted here. That's and there. So those are the blue guys are Ultramarines. So that's a different chapter of Space Marines. So whenever any faction you pick, I think there's about 22 factions. Every faction has sub factions. So Space Marines, there's 18 or probably more than 18 subs. So 18 original sub factions of Space Marines, and then they all have sub factions from there, and blah blah blah. And they have specific books about each one that kind of go into their iconography, and because some of them are unique on how they promote like leaders and captains and lieutenants. So
Yeah. So you said in your episode with PJ, so I'm gonna rewind a little bit.
yeah.
You were talking about the children that the emperor made, right? So
Yeah.
you said he made 20 and two are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Dead or unknown?
Unknown. So
Those
they're
two, what did they do? Like what you said that they were naughty.
yeah.
So the reason why I'm asking is because all the other children, are they children? You call them something else. There's a word.
So they're genetic projects of the emperor. They consider the emperor their dad, their father, but he created them with a mixture of sorcery and science, like very extreme science.
Mr. Sinister type stuff.
Yeah. So think of like so the emperor, for lack of better, I mean, he's basically God, right? He's a extremely powerful psychic.
He's Apocalypse. Got it.
Yeah, something like that. And he used his DNA to create 20 commanders of his legions. And from those 20 commanders, he used their DNA to create their legions. So the Space Marine legions are direct descendants of that Primarch. And like
Primarch, that's what it was.
Yeah. So they're called Primarchs.
Okay, so the two Primarchs that nobody knows what happened to them, how do we know they aren't creating an army of their own?
So they're referenced in the books. They're never named. They are known to have been, one of them at least has been specifically known to have been killed. And the rumor is, so the Emperor does mind wipe his Primarchs a lot.
Oh,
And
black action.
yeah. So he mind wipes them for all different sorts of reasons. So one cool thing about Warhammer 40K, well, there's a lot of cool things, is there's always a level of we don't know the answer.
Yeah, I heard you say that. I like that. That's why it made my brain start moving.
Yeah, and we usually you're never really reading a book from the perspective of people who. So all the writers in Warhammer 40K use what's that terminology? Like, it's, even though it's in the book, it's as the person who's in it is describing the situation, so it's from their point of view. So you can always have a little bit. What's that? It's a literary term. Like it'll come to me. Not plausible deniability. Like kind of like in history, right? You got World War II. We only know it based on what people are telling us.
Yeah, you take it with a grain of salt, but it's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, it's pretty much what happened. We don't really know for sure. And another rule specifically, even in the Horus Heresy novels, so the history books of Warhammer 40K. So the big civil war happened in the year 30K, so 10,000 years before the current time. None of the books, none of the authors were ever allowed to write from the perspective of the Emperor.
Really?
Yes. So you're always if he's talking in the book, you're a character in the room witnessing it or talking to him. You will never understand his motivation, his thoughts, or what's really going on.
And
will that ever change, or it just gives like a little bit like
no, it's never gonna change for a couple of reasons. He's on the golden throne, barely able to. He communicates now psychically with one of his sons who survived, but even from the books. So there's one of the sons that survived is Reboot Guilliman. He's the Primarch of the Ultramarines, the blue guys in front of us. He doesn't even tell you what the Emperor told him to do. So it's an interesting way to story tell, because you're kind of like the outsider looking in. So you asked PJ, like when we talked about having this podcast again, it's like, oh, tell us what is everyone trying to do? Well, that's a really good question, because it's almost like you're just a guy in the universe. You don't really know what everyone's trying to do. You don't know everyone's motivation.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's what even adds another layer of mystique to the whole thing.
You look at all this X-Men talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sneaks in. It sneaks in.
Yeah, dude.
So here's an interesting one.
Oh, that's really gnarly.
So this is a new character. I forget his name.
That is freaking yeah.
He's a demon. If you can figure that out, he's
he's from the warp.
Yes, so he's a warp entity. He is newer to the lore. Oh, I have a book that's actually, I was reading about him.
Yeah, look it up.
I haven't finished it yet, but his name is Vashtor, right?
Wow.
So he is the demon in the warp that supplies the other demons with their war engines. So he's basically like the arms dealer in the warp. For all the other guys.
War engines are weapons, or war engines are machines?
Machines. So he's like the guy who builds their tanks. So all the other chaos gods need to.
Got it.
Yeah. Exactly. There. Yeah.
I got to associate it with like what I know, and then I'm like, all right, I get it. I get what he does.
Yeah. So this guy won gold for large miniature or vehicle. Now this is so. I like this. I'm a little surprised this one gold. And I was watching a stream of all the professional painters, some of them who won this competition, and they had said that not a lot of people had submitted entries for large model. So I'm assuming that's. I personally don't think this is Golden Demon level for me. I could probably do this. So now, lesson learned: if I'm going to enter Golden Demon, I'll enter in the large model category because I think it's probably easier.
There's some really cool modeling and work on the skin, and that tone difference on the armor from that dark bronze to like that lighter gold is really nice too.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about with the color theories and stuff. Like, yeah, especially the armor is like what sticks out to me, right? Like the demon's cool, like and the skin tones and stuff. But like that armor is just like whoa, like it hits you like as soon as you see it.
Yeah,
it looks super. I think what he's doing, like though, I don't know if that's smoke around him or like those like bubble. I'm not really sure what that is. Like what he was trying to do with these. I'm not sure what's going on here. If it's like smoke effects or something, or if it's supposed to look like a reflection off of his armor. I'm not clear, but
looks like eggs.
He got gold. Yeah, he got gold. So here's a tank. This is that's a human tank that got silver. And then there's a bronze. That's a Nurgle tank. That's a demon tank.
You're right. It's like a World War. Like it's not too like high tech.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
low tech, but high. Yeah.
Yeah. Low tech. You're right. Like very like World War I ish.
Yeah. That's a badass paint job. I think that looks very believable.
Mm-hmm.
I would have probably given that guy gold.
I think I kind of like as much as I agree, like that is a nice paint job. I think I like the more fantastical stuff. Like, that seems too familiar for me to be interested in it as opposed to the other one. The other one's just like a way more gnarly design that it just interests me more because it doesn't look like something I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So this is so there are different. So within Games Workshop, there's other games. So this is called Age of Sigmar. This is their fantasy line of miniatures. So this is I don't even know who this is, what this is. But
yeah, I have like no interest in this one. If I'm
I mean it's an excellent paint job. I understand why you got gold.
Yeah, the tone is very smooth.
So yeah, and this image is super blown up because if it's a human miniature, I mean that guy is like half the size of this dude. I mean, yeah, he's small. That's super small.
That must be insane.
Yeah, he probably has a splitting headache from painting all that skin and making it super believable.
Do you use a pull down microscope thing?
Yeah, I have
magnifying glass. I mean,
I use glasses because I use my I actually just use my computer glasses because it's 1 times or less than 1 times magnification. That's all I need. But for something like this, I'd probably need like 3 or 4 times magnification to see what I'm doing. Because and I totally understand why this guy got gold. And like if you look, I don't know if you see my cursor, but just breaking down this color from the skin to coming down here to darkening and that is probably this distance here. Is I don't know. It's like not even the tip of a pencil. So just to do this and then bring in the highlight back up here to make it look like there's a shadow. Like this guy is what's his name? David Ugolini. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Like you win, bro.
It's very good.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool skin work there. But the design wise, that's not as interesting. Like, dude, that demon from the warp right now is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, mine too.
Rock on. So we got here.
I like the Andy Wardle. Sorry, I don't know why I got bronze, but I like that better than the David Ugolini.
So yeah, Andy Wardle. I mean, this guy has probably got. He's like a famous painter. He's probably got like 30 Golden Demon trophies. He just
Hey.
shows up every year. You know,
Nice
they
to meet
probably
you.
like, here, take a bronze, man. Whatever, you win every year. I definitely recognize that, and I follow him on YouTube, and I get a lot of tips from him. He's one of these guys that I paint real slow, and he paints real slow. But I just don't understand how he puts out so much stuff throughout the. I mean, well, he paints professionally, so it's all he does. So just he's like churning out stuff, man.
How old is he?
He's got to be around our age, probably 40s. He's a beast. He's just nonstop. He's always pumping out golden demons. This
Yeah,
guy,
I was
yeah.
The one on the right, that's like a Space Marine.
No, this is their fantasy line. I don't even. I'm not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just they're gonna go through every.
We don't like fantasy line, right?
I mean,
I'm
I
assuming.
I do play that too, just not as I'm not as into it as 40K.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I actually am in the process of doing a goblin army. Just an army of not orcs, little goblin guys, because they ride these things called squigs, these red things with big faces. I think there'll be one in a bit. You'll see. I just think it's hilarious. My group of friends who play these games are like, hey, you want to do an Age of Sigmar? You know, we could play Age of Sigmar also. I was like, sure, whatever. I'll pick a faction. Have fun with it. You know, so don't twist my arm to get more nerdy stuff, please. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is a unit in Age of Sigmar. These are lizard men. This is pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. This is
fantasy
cool.
line?
This is also fantasy, yeah.
We don't like fantasy lines.
Yeah. That's like you know what that reminds me of? That dude from Mortal Kombat that they made with like he has like that Mayan
reptile?
Look. No, he has that Mayan look.
Mayan look. That'd be more recent Mortal Kombat. I haven't played in a while.
It's the newer one. He's like a sun god from like the Aztec times.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Kodokan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is,
Very cool.
Yeah, I like just the base alone with all this foliage. I don't even know how he did that. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, so before when I asked you if you do your own thing for the dioramas, this is kind of what I was asking.
Yeah,
right? I get it that there's like a standard for how your army is supposed to look, so you follow the standard pretty closely, which I would do the same. But when you're dioramaing, how wild do you get?
So my Imperial Fists are on urban rubble. They look like they're in a city fight. So like my Dreadnought here. Let me zoom in again here.
Yeah, this is a good example.
So.
Oh yeah, so rebar, rocks, got it.
Yeah, I do that for them, and then it depends on the army. So with my bugs, I want them. It's my first go at doing a jungle. So I've been reading and watching videos on how to do convincing jungle. So something like that that we're looking at here is, I mean, this is kind of extreme for just an army, but like that's the idea. So my Tyranids, I'd like them to be in some sort of jungle thing. And then when the diorama is going to be, my idea in my head is there's going to be a wall that they broke through, like kind of like a cement wall, where my Imperial Fists are going to be in there. So I'll be able to do like cement with hazard striped bases for them. So that way I can still keep the theme of my Imperial Fists looking like they're urban. At the same time, they'll fit into the diorama because they're on a different portion of the diorama.
Yeah. They're not city jungle. There's like that divider.
Yeah, I'll have a divider within the diorama so it doesn't mess up my army, basically.
Yeah, because you don't want to make a jungle army that you're not going to use.
Exactly.
Yeah, these are cool.
These are cool. So this is still fantasy, but it's cool stuff. The guy
we don't like fantasy.
So here's a cool one.
Is this fantasy still?
It's still fantasy.
I don't like it.
So it's, I don't even, I have no idea what this is.
Though. That's cool though.
So it's some sort of elf goddess. Yeah, elf goddess on a big beetle thing. To me, when I saw this, I was like, okay, deserves gold for like multitudes of reasons.
Oh yeah,
So
I
the
agree.
beetle looks sick. With the I don't even understand like that whole shiny, glistening beetle look. That's freaking amazing. That's a lot of that's some severe color theory. So we were talking about color theory before. This person really took it to the extreme. And here's what blows my mind. The elf, I don't even know if she's an elf or a human on top. She looks like the sun is pointing at her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That
Yeah.
highlight is very, very perfectly laid in.
Yeah, it just looks like without there being any light, it looks like the sun is just shining on her specifically, which is really cool. So how
It's hitting every surface correctly.
yeah, and it's hitting it right. It's hitting these feathers right. This person is a professional. There's no way this is an amateur. Ruben Martinez Arribas. So gold, well deserved. This is fucking great. I bow to that. Even her staff.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, like it's so pure white in some areas. It blends in with the background here. So that's really cool.
And that the base that he made is really cool too. That's all looks like real foliage. I love that seeping lime green.
Yeah, and I just noticed that. I don't even know what like it almost looks like an energy thing. Oh, okay. I think I understand what's happening here. So wherever she's like a goddess of nature, wherever she's stepping, plants are growing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that effect too. Like that's
slick. Yeah, that's to be able to do that is respect.
Nice
So we
job.
got some. We got
but
some
still fantasy though.
fantasy stuff. So we got some vampires. We got some. This is I don't know what this is, but it looks cool. And everybody likes vampires. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, okay. So a little bit more fantasy here, but this is cool. So this is another game. It's called Underworlds. It's a skirmish game. So all you need to play Underworlds is just like these 5 guys, and that's it. You don't need an army. It's a skirmish based game. So that's pretty cool. I like the color of the armor there. So let's see.
How many models in an army?
So when you're playing any of these games, it goes by point value. So what that means is every miniature is assigned a point. So
you can have more little guys if you want, but if you use big guys, you lose points.
Exactly. So like the last game we played, dude, you're just figuring this out. Are you sure you don't like secretly watch at the end of the season and check out my Space Marine army?
Man.
So when you play a game of 40K, you decide ahead of time like how many points we're playing. So the last time we played like a month and a half ago in my house, it was 1,000-point game, and we're upping it to 1,500 points. So it's 1,500 points of models. However your army's configured is up to you. There are restrictions within the game, like you can't have more than triplicates of certain units. You can't have more than one named character, obviously, because that doesn't make any sense. And there's other rules like that, but that's how the game's broken down. So like
you can't have 3 generals because
like you wouldn't be able to have like the little guy I showed you here. He has a name, so he's actually from the lore. His name's Tor Garadon. You can't have 2 Tor Garadons.
Because the character already has attributes built into him.
Yeah,
you'd be overpowered. Where like
not so much overpowered. It just wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, it'd be dumb. Okay.
Yeah, it's like it would be like you're playing a board game and you have 3 Wolverines.
Yeah, like there's only one Legolas.
Yes. Yeah, but there's elves.
Yeah. Tons of elves.
Gotcha.
But there's only one Legolas.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So more fantasy. Okay, let's just move here. Let's go to here we go. So this is really cool. This one gold. So there's another game. Games Workshop's good at making games. So if you want to play Warhammer, but you want to play at the age of when the Civil War was happening, you can play Warhammer Horus Heresy.
Yeah, I know you mentioned this last time. The Horus Heresy
seems
to be a popular like era.
Yeah, because it's the only time in history when there was a civil war when they turned. Yeah, Horus turned on the Emperor, and blah blah blah, and then 8 of the brothers turned against the Emperor, and 8 of them stayed loyal. So it's this big, huge galactic war. Yeah. So
I still remember.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Star Wars, like when you're talking about the High Republic era. This is kind of like right at the fall of the High Republic when everything hits the fan.
Okay, that makes sense.
This guy won gold. David Ugolini again. Okay.
Yeah. I see. I'm like drawn to his painting.
Yeah. So this is really cool. I don't even know if this is customized. I don't play Horus Heresy. This, I can tell you, the faction immediately is called the Iron Warriors. They are the one. So the Imperial Fists and the Iron Warriors specifically don't get along.
This is your enemy, dude.
This guy would be my enemy. So we would not get along very much. Those 2 factions of Space Marines both specialize in siege warfare. And the Primarch of the Iron Warriors was always very jealous of the Imperial Fist Primarch, because the Imperial Fist Primarch, who's my Primarch, was what he considered to be more favored by the Emperor. So so there's a little bit of bitterness there.
Well, I really dig that hazard striping.
Yes. So yeah, I'm glad you picked that out. So the hazard stripes is very Iron Warriors. That's like their thing. Hazard stripes and just raw armor.
I like the red. I like the red tubing in his abdomen too.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
So how good are you at OSL painting?
I'm pretty good at it. So like let's see here. I got take a couple. So I haven't had to do a lot of OSL yet. My Tyranids will probably need more OSL. So let's see if I can. So these Space Marines have plasma.
Yeah, dude, that looks great.
Yeah. So
great, dude.
I like the painting of those plasma guns.
Yeah, that's so OSL, and you can see the checkered pattern on his kneecap there. But OSL is object source lighting. So it's basically making the illusion that something's glowing when it's not glowing. And the easiest way to do that is if you look at the color wheel, right? If you want something to glow green, like that glows, you gotta move up and down the color wheel to make it convincing. Because when let's say you have a yellow flame, as the light diffuses further away, it moves down the color wheel from orange to red.
Yeah.
So if you want something to look like it's glowing yellow, you start with like really bright to white yellow and move all the way, go along from yellow to kind of orange to kind of red,
like
to red. Yeah, until it's finally diffused. And that's so like with green, when you guys come over, you'll see that this diffuses from like a yellow to green to like a off blue. And off the black, and that's how
you made it icy cold at the edge to really make it jump.
Yeah, so that's how you do it to trick the eye.
As soon as you held it up, it looked like it was glowing. So it was a very nice job.
Yeah, I like that.
I do appreciate that. That takes quite a bit of time, so I very much appreciate that.
That is something I want to learn how to do.
Oh yeah, sure, I can show you. So you need like for large scale, you probably want an airbrush. Save you a lot of.
Yeah, so I've airbrushed a couple of statues. I'm not the most tempered or I don't know what word to use to describe it. Patient.
Yeah. So with OSL, you gotta bring up the patience level a bit. Because you have to do so many thin little layers, especially because now it's a little different because I'm working in the miniature, right? You're probably working on something that's much bigger. Yeah. So you need to, because of that, you have to break down the layers even further for it to make it look convincing. So you have to really take your time with so many thin layers that you barely notice the difference each layer. So the best way to test it is if you take the paint and you put it on your thumbnail. If you can still see through the paint to your thumbnail, that means you've got the right consistency of color for OSL. If it's too thick and you can't see your nail, then it's too thick and it's not going to work.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. So here's another two awesome models here. We have on the left, that is a Night Lord Space Marine. He is, as you probably could tell, he's a traitor Marine. He's not a good guy, but very well done. They're basically like kind of like vampires in space. They were, before they turned evil, they were specialized in terror tactics. So if they were going to take over a planet, they'd first just scare the living hell out of them with like all sorts of terror campaigns. So by the time they even attacked, everyone kind of loses the will to fight anyway. And they would be the most, very brutal, so brutal that some of his brothers would complain. Like if they were in a campaign together, the Primarch of this legion would get into arguments with his brother about, war crimes and stuff like that. And then the guy on the right is Horus himself. So that is the son of the emperor that turned.
Look at you jerk.
Yeah, what a jerk. What a not nice guy.
You just keep sacrificing thousands of souls to your father every day.
Well, he wasn't doing that yet. So that's after. So the reason why they do that is because Horus
wanted him to get the throne.
Well, yeah. So when Horus fought the Emperor, Horus was kind of supercharged with the like warp entity. He was like possessed by all the Chaos Gods to kind of soup him up, and he was able to mortally wound the Emperor that placed him on the throne permanently as a kind of a life support system. And to keep him alive, they need to sacrifice all those about 1,000 psychic souls a day to keep the Emperor alive.
Yeah.
Very, very heavy metal,
Yeah, sacrifice them. They're worthless.
Exactly. This is a little fantasy stuff. This is a troll, which is pretty cool.
What the hell is that?
That's a troll. This is this
fantasy.
one.
Man.
Okay,
is
so a little
gold.
That one gold, yeah. This one gold.
What? Okay, I mean,
it is.
Cool.
It's very well done. So
very
like
cartoony, but yeah, cool.
Yeah, very cartoony. The model already is pretty cartoony, but what's impressive with this paint job is the transition from, like, if you look at the black skin here, you could almost feel like it's scaly.
Bumped. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Not easy to do. But so I get it. A lot of technique won this guy for sure. Won him gold. This is cool here. This knight is pretty bad. I'm a sucker for a knight on a horse. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I just went to Medieval Times 2 weekends ago.
Oh, did you? I haven't been in years, man. I haven't been in years. So you want to laugh? I didn't know, but apparently I'm super allergic to horses. So when I went, I was just I went into like allergic, like I was freaking out. Like I could barely breathe there with all the horse in the air. I just
horse.
Let's see. All right, let's go to. There's Middle Earth. So they also have the license to Lord of the Rings, by the way. So there's a
wow
Lord of the Rings game also called Middle Earth strategy game. So this guy won gold for an elf on. This is the what's his name? Yeah, the king. Oh, geez.
Legolas's dad, dude.
Yeah, Fangolorden something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, here we go. I'm all about this guy here. Neil Hollis painted this little goblin. That's cool. Good for him.
Who painted it?
Neil Hollis. Good for him. Nice little goblin guy. So there's another game. So you do tons of little board games. There's a game called Blood Bowl, which is like a football board game with using fantasy creatures as teams. So I have a Blood Bowl team. I have the Undead as my football team.
Do they have a chess set?
No, actually, I'm shocked they don't. They should probably have one with all the types of board games they have. If you're into board games, there's a board game for you. I'm sure they make something that.
I mean, I guess you could just get a chess board and just use them as chess pieces.
Yeah, you could. You could.
Let's start a business.
Let's do it. So this game is called Necromunda. It's within the 40K universe, but it's gangs. So where humans live, they're called hive cities. So it's basically like the gangs that live within the hive cities killing each other for like resources and influence. So that's another game.
Double Dragon. You remember that?
Yeah, or like Judge Dredd. It's a lot like yeah. So you can actually there's a faction that does look like Judge Dredd. They're the cops in this game. I actually I haven't painted them yet, but these are called Kodor. They're the crazy fanatical worshippers of the Emperor, but they like live in the slums. I think they're pretty cool. So I'm probably going to try to paint them up like this with the blue and the green pants. But they're basically like the Jehovah's Witnesses of 40K. If you don't believe in the Emperor, they're not really down with that. They kind of you either believe in the Emperor as God or they kind of fricassee you, knock on your door like, have you accepted the Emperor as your Lord and Savior? They kind of like that. That's the running joke in Necromunda about Kodor.
Now, does the Emperor wear blue?
He's kind of just in rags like now. He's just like he looks like just a decayed corpse on the throne. Like,
oh wow,
yeah.
So his presence is more psychic than physical.
Yeah, so they need him. The reason why they got to keep him alive is because he powers
the war.
Yeah, he powers what's called the Astronomicon.
The beacon. Yeah,
the beacon. Correct. There you go. Look at you paying attention. Love it.
Yeah, bro. You asked me to get involved. I'm getting involved.
There you go. So after this, you're gonna be like, Dom, I want to play. What army should I pick? It'll happen. I'll get you guys eventually. This is Warhammer 40K. This is a knight. So the Space Marines, when Space Marines aren't enough, there are what's called Titan Legions, and they're just big robots that go and blow up.
Yeah, with a face of a gun.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Wow. Okay, I didn't see this. This is a epic scale little plane here. I forget what that's called. A Thunderhawk, I think. No, not a Thunderhawk. I don't remember. And this is okay. So this is the last. This here is pretty cool. So he won what's called a Slayer Sword. So he was the best of all categories. And he gets like this big ass literal sword for winning Slayer. And what he did here is really sick. So he did a diorama.
Shut the fuck up. That's
wow.
Yeah, dude. I was like, okay,
he did
man.
What?
Yeah, he did a reflection. So he's a vampire, but since he's got no reflection, he just did reverse through the base, did the reverse, and it looks like it's in water, and you can see his ghost. And that's just so this guy won best overall. A lot of it I'm sure because of concept. Bravo. The paint job's amazing, but I mean the concept is like, okay, dude, take it, here you go.
Did he win? So he won the whole thing.
Yeah, he won Slayer Sword. That's what that's called.
Holy jeez. Wow.
So he these were the runner-ups. Silver, and this is freaking, I mean, this is like one day if I could ever paint like this, this is my goal in life. Just the reflections from the flames off. It's all that you're talking OSL. This is an OSL freaking master here.
Mm-hmm.
But the green light onto the armor, onto the floor, onto the back of his armor, and then you have two directional lights. You have the flamethrower pushing on this direction and the green pushing from the back. So this guy is a master of object source lighting right here. Benjamin Cantor.
Bravo, Ben.
Yeah, bravo, man. Bravo. And this guy won bronze for this little scene here. The goblins jumping out of a plane, which is pretty cool.
I mean,
But-
it's a shame the other guy was there this year because he would have won.
This, yeah, this personally, this is the best paint job. This guy won because he had an amazing concept.
No, this is bonkers, dude. I would love to display that.
Yes, and here's what's cool about it too. And if we're gonna go into OSL, you got the ghost giving OSL off the tree
And the knee.
off the armor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
You know, it's cool too. The little creature inside the tree hole is not there on the bottom.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see. Yeah, I didn't even see that little Easter egg there.
Very cool. He even changed the colors between the top and the bottom. Like if you look at that willow reed.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The
Yeah,
reflection is darker.
to mute it a little bit. Yeah. Okay. That you're picking up.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the. I wanted you to see this aspect of the hobby too. So next time we hop on, we'll talk about the gaming portion, but the art. So the art in and of itself is. Oh wow! Now that I'm looking at this, so there's also OSL here from I will maybe it's like sunlight that's going sundown.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, this is like there's like this realm, the Warhammer realm. There's so many, like you mentioned earlier, so many aspects to it, like the books, the lore, the games, the painting, it's just I can see why someone could be just engaged in every aspect of the.
Yeah, it sucks you in, man. It's been better part of my life into Warhammer. I can't imagine not being into it. It's great, and the stories and the books and the art portion. It kind of checks all my boxes. So that's what's fun about it.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
it's very cool. But that was definitely my favorite part so far is the stuff, the painting.
Yeah. So what are you looking to paint? What are you working on?
Well, I'm not currently working on anything at this second. But I do have stuff like have like a bunch of Jean Greys, and I'd like to do OSL on her headstone.
Oh, like got it.
I have it on my my quarter scale one, but I have a couple other Jean Greys that I'd like to do it.
So is the headstone 3-dimensional or is it flat?
It's 3-dimensional.
Okay, so you could do a cool. You really want to go deep into it, you can do a gem effect. So if you, I'll send you some tutorials on how to do gems. There's a theory behind it. So like it's like a diamond, right? Hers, it's not a gem.
It's like a pentagon.
Okay. Yeah. So so the way there's a theory behind how light travels through it to paint it. There's a way to do it where it's convincing. So I'll send you some stuff on that. But thank you guys for hopping on. I appreciate it, and I love talking about this stuff, and I really appreciate you guys since you're not into Warhammer, but you're slowly getting into Warhammer, and hearing me ramble about it for an hour and a half or whatever it's been is much appreciated.
Yeah,
man.
No problem, man. You're not the only friend who's trying to like lure me into stuff. I have another friend who's trying to get me to do Dungeons and Dragons with him. And
oh yeah, that in itself is a different like.
That's the role playing. So this is more like it's a board game.
Strategic, right?
Strategic. I've played D&D in high school, and they do still sell the little minis you could paint for D&D as your character, but that's not really like nobody cares, I've been with D&D people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I just slap some paint on the guy just to make it look colored." And there's no passion behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Where Warhammer's more, there's the art. The art definitely ranks higher.
But it makes it unique, right? Like that's one thing about like, you know, I'm appreciating about Warhammer is that like everyone has a different sandbox of
Yeah.
you know, in terms of the characters that they read about. You know, just like, you know, with anything, you know, like with Star Wars, I know there's different like sandboxes that people like, you know, like when they sit down, this is their story, this is how they interpret it. I feel like
Yeah.
with Warhammer, you're letting that interpretation like in and turn it, you're taking that interpretation and making it artistic and
Oh yeah.
showing it to the world. Hey, listen, this is what I see as the Space Marines, right? This is I see like, you know, the orcs. This is how I see the colors when I think of it when I'm reading it. So
Yeah.
that's cool
There's
that you
no
guys.
wrong way. Yeah. No wrong way to do it. Like,
So speaking of that, can you mix factions?
yes. So in game you can, but you lose perks and benefits for
Mhm.
doing it. You technically can, but some factions don't. Like Tyranids don't. Tyranids can't be paired with anybody because they're bugs. They're
Sure,
not.
your fists can't pair with the other guys because they're mortal enemies.
Yeah. So if it's same, so if they're Imperial, let's say they're good human, you can technically have them in the same army, but you lose what's called battle forged. So all the special rules kind of go out the window. You lose a lot of benefits. Some factions are designed to team up with other factions where it's kind of on purpose. But there used to be rules, and like if you wanted to do space elves and humans, you really can't. There in previous editions you could, but it would be like a negative. It would be called unlikely allies or allies of convenience. You know, like there's no reason why an Eldar would help out a human.
Would be with a human.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're really. So we're into other portions of the lore is like a lot of people who are new to Warhammer. Warhammer is very not PC. So so like people who are like try to start reading about the lore, like why are the humans so xenophobic, right? So that comes up sometimes in the forums, like new people coming into the hobby is like, well, Space Marines literally say like purge the Xenos, like
Yeah.
suffer not the Xenos to live. Like they literally, if you are not in the image of the Emperor, our automatic reaction is to kill you. Like
Wow.
that's so even like some factions that interact with Eldar, they know like okay, we can maybe help each other out, but as soon as they get the chance, they're gonna kill us. Like this is
Yeah.
it's
It's very
Warhammer. Yeah, Warhammer is more about it's. I hate to say it, but it's more reality. I mean, if let's say we were space going civilization, like it's humans versus everyone else, and everyone else versus everyone else. You think nobody's going to be your friend, you know?
Yeah. These bugs are cool right now, but as soon as we kill these leeches, we're gonna kill these bugs.
Yeah. So they're very they do not get along with each other.
Do
In
people
fact,
play with warp armies?
yeah. Oh, yeah. You can. So it's funny because like people are really into their armies for obvious reasons. Like if you're playing the bad guys or like the evil trader guys, you got to remember you're putting so much time into learning about them and painting them, and even the other good factions. So like my friend Mike, he plays another faction of Space Marines called the Dark Angels, and they're always notoriously secretive, and there's reasons why they're secretive. There's some a lot of backstory on them, and they'll backstab another like loyal faction if they need to for their own ends. Like barely anyone is loyal to anybody in Warhammer. So people joke the Warhammer universe is the one universe that, as a fan, you would never want to be in because your life expectancy is like non-existent, and everything's trying to kill you. You know, like Star Wars or Star Trek is super optimistic about like the future and everyone getting along. This is not. This is not optimistic at all.
Yeah, like the only thing I've ever seen of Warhammer is when Henry Cavill was talking about it, and he said that he was playing as some army, and then the other guy said he was playing as an army. And he's like, we should hang.
Like,
and I'm like, why did he say that? What's the tie between those two factions?
So Henry Cavill plays Adeptus Custodes. So we didn't even get into that. They are
Let's do this
they're
next time.
yeah, we'll do the next one. And the other guy plays Necrons, which for very obvious reasons, they're Xenos. So Adeptus Custodes are good guys, right? They're humans, and Necrons are evil aliens. So by default, they're not having a conversation. It's shoot first.
Oh,
never
so
ask
he was excited because he's like, we're gonna fight. Let's do it.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna play a game.
Oh, all right, okay.
So I think I mentioned this on the last one, but there's a ton of celebrities who play. I think that even what's his name, Fast and the Furious guy, what's his name, plays?
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel plays, yeah.
Yeah, Vin Diesel.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna sign out. This has been awesome. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you again for hopping on. We'll take this thing away.